Hello, welcome back to the Jet Press Podcast. My name is Justin Fried, and it's draft week, Mike. What's going on, buddy? How are you feeling? Tomorrow is the 2025 NFL Draft. We are bringing you a final, Jets draft preview. We'll each be bringing some 7-round mock drafts your way. You excited? What's going on, dude?
This is kid on Christmas time. This is what I get excited for, which is surprising because I'm a Jets fan. You'd think they wouldn't get excited for that after how these things usually go.
We don't get playoffs. This is our playoffs.
This is our Super Bowl.
Yes, honestly.
And half the time it doesn't even, at least the Super Bowl, definitively who won at the end. You don't even know that. But
no. We always know. The Jets always win. They always win.
Do you take out 2022?
No. Immediately after, they always win the draft. That's the assumption.
Except for Will McDonald, where they didn't win the draft, and he actually ended up being okay. So
that's true. That's a good point. Well, that's all right. Yes.
So expect the unexpected is what we're getting at. We're each going to go through, just like we did last year, our 7-round mock drafts. Now, I will say each of us have a little bit of a different flavor on ours. Justin is going on what he thinks is going to happen, which is that's the way a lot of mock drafts are done. The way I'm operating is I'm going to say, if I was the GM of every team, what pick would I make in this spot? So you're going to get 2 different flavors. You can pick which one you like best. You can see which one ends up getting the Jets the most talent as we begin the Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji era. But before all of that, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, wherever you get your podcasts. We are there. And on YouTube, 99-cent membership. That's all I call it. 99 cents. How much stuff's 99 cents nowadays? At those tariffs, 99 cents? That's nothing. And you get a month of priority reply and comments. That's all you got to do. And you can subscribe and hit that like button. That's all you got to do. It really does help boost us up those charts.
Yes, sir.
So Justin, let's enough faffing around here.
Oh, no, hold on. I was gonna say I want to faff a little more, but I don't like how that sounds.
Yeah, that sounds a little.
This is Jet Press after dark, but like immediately after 3 o'clock.
We didn't even do anything yet, and we're already.
I'm gonna faff a little more, Mike, because I was just gonna say I was gonna plug a couple of interviews that we did. We did an interview a couple weeks ago with Andreas Keaton, Temple safety. That's up, and then an interview that went up. I think it was yesterday it went up with Buffalo linebacker Sean Dolak. So for any of our upstate or Western New York listeners, they probably are very familiar with Sean Dolak. He was a record setter at Buffalo, the first ever, I believe, consensus All-American in Buffalo history. Not even Khalil Mack did that. So fantastic player, really good dude. There's an interview up on the Jet Press podcast right now. And live immediately as we're speaking, I did an interview earlier this morning with North Carolina running back Amarion Hampton, and that is live, I believe, premiering currently on the Stack in a Box YouTube channel. Go check that out. That is Fanside, is home for NFL content. A lot of draft interviews there. I had done a couple earlier with Elijah Roberts, who's an SMU defensive lineman, and Virginia Tech wide receiver Jalen Lane. So definitely check those out. Amarion Hampton, awesome dude, possibly a first-round pick this year. So it was really cool we got to talk to him. But anyway, enough faffing. Let's get. I don't like that word now. Let's get into. You
should join our guy Freddie, who we work with over in England. You should go and faff around up there.
Faffing's like a British term?
Yes, it is.
Sure. Brian said if I was the GM of other teams, I would simply trade the Jets all my picks. Honestly, yeah, I see nothing wrong with that. I think that's a flawless strategy, and teams should definitely do that. But Mike,
let's just get started right away. Because
do you want me to go first? Because I think in the little graphic that we've set up here, right, to share this, I have mine set up first. So do you want me to say mine first?
I would say so. So with the number 7 pick, let's get this right away, Justin. The number 7 pick.
The number 7 overall pick in the 2025 NFL draft.
Get that jingle.
The New York Jets in our mock draft select Jalen Walker.
Whoa, an upset already. Mr. Armand Bembu goes with Jalen Walker.
Linebacker from Georgia, as I type that out. Yeah, Mike, like I said, this is who I think the Jets are going to draft as of right now. I'm not sold on that. I'm not like solidified. I'm not confident or any means, but that's what it seems like, reading the tea leaves, which I'll be talking about a lot. I feel like I'm doing a lot of reading the tea leaves and trying to discern what is and what isn't smoke, which is very hard to do.
Apparently, there's 55 players that are going to go in the first round.
Right, exactly.
You hear all the smoke.
And I think about 12 of them are getting drafted by the Jets. So there's a lot there. But
yeah, there are going to be a lot of trade downs apparently because
my guess is Jalen Walker right now. In my mock draft that I'll probably post that somewhere. Maybe let us know. By the way, we each have our own personal first round mock drafts. If you want us to go live and talk about it tomorrow, we are happy to, because I think there's a lot we can talk about the draft. So let us know in chat if that's something you're interested in. But in my mock draft, I had Armand Membu going 6 to the Raiders. Membu was off the board. If Membu was there at 7, I think the Jets would take him. I think I'd have the Jets taking him. But right now I'm leaning towards him not being there. I don't think Will Campbell's going to be there. And just the sense that I've gotten is that if they're not getting a tackle, I think they go defense. And I don't think that defensive player is Mason Graham, who it sounds like might be sliding a little bit. I had Mason Graham, spoiler, falling outside the top 10, just barely, but outside the top 10 in my mock draft. I think Jalen Walker is somebody that the Jets really, really like based on everything we've heard. He is a very polarizing prospect and a player that requires a lot of projection at the NFL level. He's 6'1", 243. He is listed as a linebacker, kind of hybrid edge rusher. He led, I believe, Georgia in pressures last year, despite playing, I think, the 7th most pass rush snaps in that Georgia front 7, which includes another guy in Michael Williams, who might be a top 10 pick. Like Michael Williams might go top 10. Jalen Walker led the team in pressures despite playing off-ball linebacker half the year. This is somebody that if the Jets draft him, they have to feel very, very confident about where they are going to play him at the next level and what the plan is going to be in Steve Wilks' defense. I could see him as somebody that Aaron Glenn and Steve Wilks are looking at, and they're like, hey, look, this is our first year. This is our regime now. We are going to draft the players that we think we can mold into stars. And I think while Jalen Walker is not my top pick, and if I was picking in this situation, I'd rather Mason Graham. I'd probably rather Tyler Warren. I did have Ashton Genty off the board in my mock too, so it'd be Graham and Warren would probably be my top 2 picks. I think they look at Walker and they're like, hey, look, the all-pro upside is there. And that's the part I think that if I'm going to be sold on Jalen Walker as a pick, the way to sell me is saying, hey, look, Aaron Glenn and Steve Wilks are 2 extremely intelligent defensive minds. They are highly regarded defensive minds. If you think, if you want to put your trust in them, just like we put our trust in Robert Saleh to develop defensive players, if the Jets are saying, hey, look, we trust our defensive coaching staff and we think we can maximize this player, then sure. I think Jalen Walker has a chance to be a top 2 to 3 player on this defense. And that's a defense that already includes 2 All-Pros in Sauce Gardner and Quinn Williams. Jalen Walker's only 21 years old. I think his upside of anybody in this class, he probably has top 5 upside of any player in this class. It's just an extreme projection. It requires a lot of trust in your coaching staff. And it's hard to get a read on this new regime, but I do know that Aaron Glenn knows his defensive players, and I do know that Steve Wilks also knows his defensive players. And if that's the route they want to go, I won't be pissed about it. I won't be fuming, but I would be a little like, I think there'd be a lot of eyeballs on the Jets if they took this pick, and a lot of Jets fans or made this pick. And I think a lot of Jets fans probably wouldn't be too happy. I think there's a lot of Jets fans, maybe yourself included, Mike, that are enamored with Tyler Warren and are really expecting the Jets to go in that direction. Maybe they do. I'm not saying they don't. My guess right now is that the Tyler Warren stuff is a little overblown and it's a little bit of smoke, how much they love him. That's my read on it right now.
I mean, I think they do like him. We'll see if they like him number 7 much.
For sure.
The concern I have about Walker, because first off, there have been rumors that not only is Jalen Walker, but also Jahdae Barron from Texas, the cornerback, are both in play at number 7. And both of them, I wouldn't love the picks. Shamar Stewart would be the one to be like, what are we doing, from guys I've heard. But those guys as prospects, I love them so much, I can't really hate them. Like Barron, you'd have to probably trade Michael Carter, but the guy's done everything in college: slot, inside, outside, safety, and he's been really good at it. So I'm like, okay.
We were talking about Barron via just messaging each other, I think last night. We're talking about like, hey, maybe Aaron Glenn views him as the Brian Branch of this defense, where he can play nickel, he could play safety like that. Maybe that's the route they go. I would be less happy with that. I just like Walker better as a prospect. I think his ceiling is higher, but maybe they do go that. I think fans should prepare for a defensive player. I think that's a route they very well might go, even if it's not what we would prefer.
The thing with Walker is my concerns are, well, I don't think he's as far behind in run defense as I think you do, or people who are a little more pessimistic on Walker. I still don't think it's a strength of his. I think he can be good eventually. I just don't think right now he is small, yeah, but he's also not going to be a 4-3 defensive end where he's got to, like, he's not Jermaine Johnson. So I don't think if they try to use him like that, that's a problem.
He's a better run defender than Will McDonald.
Yes. Bill Rothman says we need Membu. He might not be there at 7.
Armand Membu is still my favorite prospect for the Jets. Realistic, outside of the top 3 guys, right? But the closer we get to draft day, the more I'm pretty decently confident he's not going to be. I don't want to say decently confident. I don't think he's going to be there at 7. That would be my guess right now.
The other problem I have with Walker is really he only has 1 year of starting experience. He was like a designated pass rusher guy, and he still had 5 sacks as basically just a third down pass rusher guy. So if you put him purely at edge, I think outside of Abdul Carter, he'd be the best edge in this class. Mm-hmm. And I think if you put him full-time at, is this a weak linebacker class? If you put him at inside linebacker full-time, I think he's better than Jihad Campbell as a line, because they had very similar developmental tracks, like edge rusher to linebacker. Guys think Walker's just better. You swing for upside in the draft, and Walker, there were games this year where I'm just like, man, this guy is a freak. Mm-hmm. Flying off the ball, more of a developed pass rush plan than anything. Heavy hands, quick, smart guy. And then if you put him at linebacker, he covers well, he hits hard, not really out of position very often. This is a guy who, and again, I know you'd have to move some stuff around because you got Quincy and Sherwood there already. I don't know what the plan would then be for Quincy. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't love him starting as an edge rusher over either Will McDonald or Jermaine Johnson, because then Will McDonald's still not playing full-time, or you have just no run defense at all with Will McDonald and Jalen Walker as your starting edges. But he's one of these guys where I find it hard to believe he's going to be bad. I just don't think he's going to be bad. I don't know if he's going to be like a Micah Parsons or Hassan Reddick level hybrid talent, but we've seen guys throughout the years play that role, and Walker wants to play that role. He was quoted as saying, I think I'm a chess piece. So it sounds like he kind of wants to play both of that. And we mentioned this on the last show about how fans and coaches and GMs evaluate things differently. Like, fans might say, you need to get this position in need, but man, if you're a defensive coach, especially Steve Wilkes and Aaron Glenn, and you see that guy flying off the ball, like, imagine what he could have done if he had the amount of pass rush snaps Michael Williams had.
Yeah.
How many sacks? He might have led the led the country in sacks. He might have. And then who knows, is he even there at 7? Like, that's the conversations we're having. So
before you get into your player, I'm really glad you brought up Quincy Williams and that situation, because I think if the Jets draft Jalen Walker, I don't know what the future holds for Quincy Williams, right? Even if they don't draft Jalen Walker, I don't know what the future holds for Quincy Williams. We talked about this a little bit on the podcast before, but they extended Jamian Sherwood. They gave him $15 million a year. I think it was. He's a top 5.
Would that upset Quinnen if he traded his brother, though?
Maybe. Possibly, but it is a business at the end of the day, and it's not like Quinnen's going anywhere right now. He is locked in kind of long-term at the moment, but I wouldn't be stunned if Quincy Williams was traded during the draft, especially if the Jets go Jalen Walker. You have the luxury now to trade to trade Quincy Williams, because you have Walker and Sherwood could theoretically be your linebackers. Maybe you add another guy to that room, and you could play Walker as a hybrid linebacker edge rusher, which maybe that's not the best way to utilize his talents. But like you said, he's probably not going to be playing 60% of his snaps or 85, 90% of his snaps an edge rusher. I think he's going to play some off ball as well. So I just, I think edge rusher and linebacker are both sneaky needs for the Jets, because edge rusher right now, you have Jermaine Johnson coming back from a torn Achilles. Who the hell knows what he's going to look like? I hope he comes back and he looks great, but if history has been any indicator, that's a really tough injury to come back from for edge rushers. Look at Carl Lawson. He was never the same again. And then Will McDonald, Will McDonald had a very impressive 2024 season, and the pass rush upside is there. He is an incredible liability in run defense, like a major liability. Not that Jalen Walker significantly improves that, but I do think he's a better run defender. And I don't think in a perfect world, Will McDonald is playing 60% of snaps in your defense. I don't know if that's a hot take. I think the run defense, if it's this level of bad, if it's this bad, I don't think
it's that bad, damn it.
It's goddamn bad, all right? I don't think he should be playing 60% of snaps. That's my take on that. And then Quincy
comments before I get to my pick. Zachary Berner, we need to help Fields.
I agree, but also I think more so because it's not like I don't think Justin Fields is going to be the long-term starting quarterback of the Jets. So you
need to have at least give the guy a functional.
For sure, and they can do that in the draft. Look, again, I'm saying I would prefer offense. I'm going to say what their mindset would be is, hey, look, we just want the best player available. We could take Jalen Walker at 7, and then maybe we'll go tackle or wide receiver or tight end in the second round. Stay tuned to see what I did on day 2, because I did try to help Justin Fields and or whoever the quarterback that takes over for Justin Fields is.
And Gregory Harrison with a long comment that can't go on screen, but we'll read it. Good afternoon. They need to trade back. Wouldn't mind them trading to 17 or 18 for extra capital. Leave Barron where he is. I guess don't move him around and kind of keep him in nickel.
Leave him in Texas.
Yeah, leave him in Texas, not going to the NFL. I like Walker, but Kenneth Grant I like better. Let's start a new nose tackle.
Kenneth Grant, trading back. I mean, Kenneth Grant, 18.
You go to 18 and you get Grant. Fine. I mean, that's not the worst idea anybody ever had.
And I see, this is a thing that so many fans do, and it's very easy to do. It's easy to say, hey, the Jets should trade back. Who's trading up to 7, right? Who at 17 or 18 is trading? Oh, the Seattle Seahawks trading up to 7? I don't think so. Who the hell are they?
They have 5 top 100 picks.
But who do they want? Who do they want at 7, right?
Maybe Membu, or they need a lineman.
Maybe they feel like they need more interior, though. Like
Membu could play guard, can't he? Isn't that the whole?
You to trade up for 7 for a guard? That feels.
If it's Membu, I don't know.
I don't think the
team took Michael Penix last year after Cousins. Who knows?
Sure, I'm just saying I don't think the desire for a lot of teams. There's a lot more teams looking to trade down in this draft than trade up. If the Jets are going to trade down, I don't think it'd be as far as 17 or 18. I think it'd be like maybe the Bears trade up and, somehow Genty's there at 7 and he doesn't go before that. And they want to make sure that they get him, or, maybe a Mason Graham is sliding or a Membu is sliding. And another team wants to trade up and get him. I think that's a scenario. I don't think they fall all the way back to 17 or 18. That feels a lot. And I don't know if any team is willing to move up that far.
And now the pick that they're going to make.
Okay. That you want them to make.
I want them to make, because with the number 7 pick, it's a guy it's been Warren or Membu have been the top 2 leaders in the clubhouse. And I am going to say, with the number 7 pick in my mock draft, Tyler Warren.
I was ready to type
that. Goes to the New York Jets. A guy they supposedly like. A guy who was the best tight end in his class. A guy who had a 1,000-yard season. And he may not be the best blocker in the world, but for a guy as big as him, I think a good point of comparison is before he got as good as he is now, like first 2 years, Kelsey. Like before he became Travis Kelsey, where he was still like really good and Alex Smith is throwing to him a ton. That's what I see out of Tyler Warren. A guy super smooth, great athlete. When he's playing wildcat quarterback and running the ball 3-4 times a game. Now, he has the 1 year production, but if you see a guy like Tyler Warren, number one, the tight end room right now is beyond bad. I mean, Jeremy Ruckert and Stone Smart. Yeah. Woohoo. Catch the fever.
Hey, don't forget Zach Kuntz.
And Zach Kuntz.
Yeah.
You get an immediate upgrade there. You get a guy who's going to be the number 2 pass catcher immediately, I think, behind Garrett Wilson, ahead of Breece Hall, ahead of Josh Reynolds, ahead of Lazard. And you get a guy who he's not going to have a Brock Bowers rookie season, but seems like you could pencil him in for 60, 70 catches, even with Justin Fields and the offense they're going to run with him. One of the safer players in this draft, and he fills a need, and he's good value, and the team seems to like him. Tyler Warren, my guy for the Jets at number 7.
Yeah, fun fact, Tyler Warren was teammates with Zach Kuntz in that Penn State tight end room for at least a couple of years before he transferred to
and neither of them were because they had, what was the dude?
Brenton
from
Strange.
The Giants.
They had, they had Fryermuth.
Fryermuth, Theo Johnson, I think.
They had Brenton Strange as well. Dude, that Penn State tight end room is loaded. That's crazy.
No, I was about to say, how did they not dominate? Apparently, they had 5 pro tight ends.
Yeah.
We're still not winning games.
And somehow
still going 10-3 every year.
Kuntz is the worst of them all, which I guess makes sense. He ended up.
He got hurt too.
Yeah, that's true. But listen, you like Warren a lot more than I do. I like him as a prospect. I think he is probably tight end 1 in this class. It's between him and Colston Loveland for me. They're very similarly graded, probably, but he's a good player.
Loveland's got medical concerns.
He does, and there's like some talk he could fall. I think I have him going to the Chargers in mind, but I could still see the Colts taking a swing on him if the medical's clear. It's the medical stuff. It's so hard because every team has their own medical evaluation. So while there might be rumors of like, hey, medicals are an issue, well, they might be an issue for some teams, but not other teams. So it's really hard to say who's going to fall. Let me get that invalid thing off. There we go. Okay. But yeah, I like Tyler Warren. I think, look, the Jets need pass catchers. This offense is desperate for some sort of a pass catcher. And if they're not drafting one in round 1 or day 1, they have to add some sort of a pass catcher, whether it's tight end or wide receiver on day 2. The tight end room is barren at the moment. Stone Smart and Jeremy Ruckert are barely tight end 2 caliber players, let alone tight end 1. Tyler Warren is instantly the best tight end of this roster. Even if I don't think he's worthy of a top 7 pick in a normal draft, I get it. And I totally understand why they would make this pick. And I definitely would not be opposed. And right now it does seem like a lot of signs are pointing to that. I mean, I think that's the player that if you ask around the league, that's the player that's been most connected to Jets. I know there's the Membu stuff. There is so much talk about how the Jets are enamored with Tyler Warren. They love this dude. How much of that is smoke? We will find out in a little over 24 hours, probably.
I think they like him. I don't think that's disputed.
I do think
how much.
Unlike Membu, I do think he'll be on the board. So we will probably find out one way or another how much the Jets actually love Tyler Warren. Is it a Brock Bowers situation where there's a lot of talk about how they love Bowers and then they ultimately pass on him? We'll see. I don't know. Obviously,
you think that plays into it?
Plays into meaning
we can't pass on if we pass on Bowers and Warren in consecutive drafts.
I don't think so, because I think it's a different regime at this point, and I don't think they're looking at last regime and saying, "Hey, we passed on the old regime, passed on Bowers. We need to make sure we get a tight end this year." I think they're going to go with the player that they think is the best player available, and that's partially why I lean Walker. Like we lean thinking they'd go Walker over Warren, because I feel like they would have Walker rated higher on their draft board, and maybe they'd have like a Johnny Barron rated higher too. I don't know, but I would not be opposed.
If it's Johnny Barron, that means Darren Muji is a stooge and Aaron Glenn's also the GM. If
Johnny Barron would be a crazy pick.
He's Aaron Glenn, a smaller cornerback who moves around.
Yes, and I also think they can get one of those guys later, which may be a spoiler for later in my draft. But real quick, Zachary Berner said Panthers want Jalen Walker, just trade with them one spot back. I have seen some talk about maybe that's a smokescreen. Maybe the last minute, Jets want Jalen Walker is some kind of way of kind of either getting the Panthers to move up or someone to move up to draft Jalen Walker. Possibly. That's all I'll say is possibly. It could be. It's really hard to discern what is smoke and what's not. I do think that the Panthers draft a front 7 player with their pick. They likely going to go defense, in my opinion, and I think it's going to be a front 7 guy. I think Jalen Walker is somebody who's very high on their board. We'll see if he's there.
Let's move on to number 42, Justin.
Number 42. So, with the number 42 pick in the second round of the 2025 NFL Draft, I have the New York Jets selecting Josh Connerly, offensive tackle, Oregon.
Okay, maybe I might need to rework some stuff, but okay.
You also have to take Josh Connerly. That's fine. That's okay. If we have the same pick, that's okay.
I thought that was just a miracle, only because I don't think he falls out of the first round.
I agree with you. I did PFF's mock draft simulator, and he was there, and I was like, hell, man, I got to take this dude.
You got to do it, yeah. PFF's board is admittedly very...
It is not good. Jalen Walker, I think they have it like 25 or something. So, he's good. I will make a prediction right now. I will be shocked if Jalen Walker falls into the top 10. I don't know if that's a hot take.
Then again, remember Jermaine Johnson was supposed to be a top 10.
He was. I think Walker's ceiling and upside are just so much higher than Johnson. And I think the upside in this class, in a class without a lot of upside, I think that'll convince teams to take him. But yeah, I have Josh Connerly going here at 42. This is a dream scenario if he's there. And I think this is something that not only I would want to do, but I think the Jets would do if Connerly somehow fell this far. Maybe they even have to move up in round 2 to get him. I do think there's a world where he falls out of round 1. There's a lot of tackles in this class, and there's some teams towards the back half of round 1 that might want him. The Chiefs probably looking at tackle.
Houston, maybe.
Houston could be. They just need all offensive line. The Texans.
I mean, they sign guys, but I just don't like the guys. It's like Cam Robinson and Laken Tomlinson. I mean,
they traded Tunzel. They have
Blake Fisher. I don't know where he factors into it, but they have him.
He's supposed to be their right tackle. I don't know. But yeah, I think there's a world where Connerly does fall out of round 1. I don't know if he'd make it to 42, but if he does, this is a dream scenario for the Jets. Now you do have to flip him because he wasn't.
I'd like him at 42 more than Warren at 7.
Oh, 100%. I would like Connerly at 42, possibly more than Membu at 7. Like I think Connerly at 42 is just incredible, insane value. He might be the most fluid pass protector in this class. Now, the one concern that I've seen with him is, he's a little bit, I don't want to say light, but he plays a little light. I feel like when he can get bullied off the ball a little bit by power rushers, and you'd have to flip him because he was a left tackle in college. But 2-year starter at left tackle at Oregon, didn't miss a single game, I believe, in his entire college career. Very durable player, just everything you want in a plug and play starting tackle. You would have to flip him the right tackle. I think he could probably do it. Gregory Harrison brought up Ariante Ursary. That's another option. If he's there at 42, he's probably more likely to be there at 42. And Mike's giving me the cut it symbol, so maybe we'll wait on Ariante Ursary. We'll talk about him in a moment. But yeah, I think Connerly would be a great pick. And see, we didn't confer with each other. We wanted it to be a surprise. We didn't talk with each other before this about who our picks were going to be. So this is all reacting on the fly. What do you think about Connerly first, Mike?
A++ pick.
Oh, yeah.
Especially because of his pass protection. Now, you're not going to get him to be a road grading run blocker. And for a team that wants to run the ball a lot, because Justin Fields, I get the concern. And you'd have to flip him because Fashanu was not good at right tackle. So it seems like he's the one you're sticking at left tackle and Connerly's the one you're flipping. And as we saw with Fashanu, who I think profiles very similar to Connerly when they came out.
Yeah.
Not always easy to flip them. So I worry about that. But I can go on what I've seen at Oregon, and masterful technique, great pass protection. I know the offense kind of helped them because it's a lot of short throws and get the ball out quick, but I mean, he would go multiple games in a row, almost like half the year without allowing a pressure.
Dude, I'll literally on
and
that.
That's against guys who are going to be in the pros, like NFL athletes.
I think I said this stat last week or some recent week where we were talking about Connerly. He allowed 6 pressures over his final 12 starts. All 6 of those weirdly came against Ohio State. So meaning for 11
of Jack Sawyer and JT Tomaloau and
both might be
Williams and
75 picks, and then Tyleek Williams, yeah. So that means that in 11 of his final 12 starts, he did not allow a single pressure. I know the offense is getting the ball out quickly. That's still ridiculous.
I'm looking at offensive tackles because honestly, after Connerly, there's like a little bit of a gap where guys could fall a little bit.
Yeah.
Like there's a top heavy class, then there's like an I don't know, and then late day 2, early day 3s where there's a ton of really good depth. Mm-hmm. But day 2, it's not as fruitful as maybe it appeared to be. But I'm going to go with one of the guys who I'm leaning on what I saw tape this year and a couple of years ago. I am going with the number 42 pick. The Jets are selecting Ariante Ursary from Minnesota.
Had the name copied, just
Ariante Ursary. The thing I like about him the most is, of anybody, I think he did the best against Abdul Carter. He's another guy you'd have to flip, but honestly, he's 6'6", 331. Humongous guy. And with what the Eagles are doing, I think that might be the new NFL meta for offensive linemen. Just get big, giant guys and work with them technique-wise.
Sure.
What Mailata, Becton, that seems like what you do. Sewell to a degree. And honestly, a 5'01", 40 with a pretty good split. He does not move like a guy that's 6'6", 330. Big, strong dude. Great run blocker. One of the better run blocking tackles in this class. And he's experienced. He started for multiple years. Won Big Ten Offensive Lineman of the Year over guys like Josh Simmons, Donovan Jackson. A lot of good competition. He won it. Ursary is, I think, maybe a better fit for what the Jets want to do because the Jets want to run the ball so much. Mm-hmm. Like if you put him, if he is as good as I think he's going to be and as he profiles he's going to be, is it an exaggeration to say he might be the best run blocker on this offensive line?
He'd be up there. I mean, Simpson's a really good run blocker too, but that's
the only one. And then you get that in a tackle who moves well, and I know that you'd have to flip him again, and he's not the best with handling speed, which surprised me that he handled Carter so well. But I take a guy who has all these years of experience at left tackle to go do that as opposed to like a raw guy you got developed. I think a guy who started for that long in the Big Ten and was as good as he was, feel like he could handle that transition pretty well.
Yeah, I'd like it. Of all the round 2 options, he's probably the best combination of realistic and appealing, intriguing. I would like that a lot. Like you said, big physical dude. You have to move him the right tackle, and I think there's going to be a bit of an adjustment period for him at the NFL level, so it might take a little bit of time to get him up to speed. But I think you mentioned this last week that he kind of projects similarly to Chukwuma Okorafor. You said that about Ursary, right? Yeah,
I could see it. And again, Okorafor, I know we're saying, oh, he's the right tackle now. He's staying, but he was a pretty good right tackle in his day in Pittsburgh.
He was fine.
And then,
he was fine for a few years. So yeah, I'd like that a lot. It's fun that we both went tackle there. I do think we're going to have different drafts moving forward though, because with my 3rd round pick, I had to go pass catcher. I had to go pass catcher because the first 2 picks I did not get a pass catcher at all. So with the number 73 overall pick in the third round of the 2025 NFL drafts, I have the Jets selecting Gunnar Helm, tight end from Texas.
Ooh, okay.
We have talked about a lot. Context: Harold Fannin was on the board here. I
took Helm over. I don't like that.
I like Fannin more as a prospect. I like Helm more as a pick for the Jets. I think he has a lot more versatility to play inline than Fannin does. Played, I think, 60-something% of his snaps inline last year. Also, good size, 6'5", 245 pounds. Had a pretty underwhelming combine, which could cause him to fall a little bit.
He ran like what, a 4.85 or something like that. I mean,
which was definitely underwhelming. But I don't get like. Watching his tape, I didn't get concerns about his speed. He's not a burner. He's not Harold Fannin, obviously, but I think he could be a good starting tight end in the NFL. And immediately, I think he'd be your best tight end. And I think he offers more pass block and run block upside than Fannin. Even if it's not like a strength of his game right now, he's physical. He tries hard as a blocker. The Jets also met with him notably at the combine, so there could be some connection there. They did not meet with Harold Fannin. You don't want to look into that stuff too much, but I think Helm might be more of a fit for this offense than someone like Fannin. So that's why I went with him in the third round.
I just think there are a lot of better options. Like if you're comparing Helm as a blocker to Fannin, then yeah, he looks a lot better. If you're comparing him to even a guy I'm not super high, like a Terrence Ferguson.
I was about to say he was the other player that I was considering. It was between Ferguson and Helm at this spot. I could see them going either or. I think both of them neither has like star potential. They're both going to be fine players, I think, at the NFL level. Ferguson might be a little bit more well-rounded at this stage, but I think they're both fine players.
I'm just not as sold on Helm. Like, good player. I'd take him probably in the fourth round, like the middle of the end of the fourth round.
Sure.
He's going to have a pretty good career, but I don't think the blocking is as far along as maybe you do. And I also think right now, he's still a receiving first tight end. And when you run a 4.85 as a receiving first tight end, and the agility times weren't good either. It's not giving off a ton of good vibes. Like I wouldn't mind Helm in the fourth round. I just think it's a little rich here. I would have preferred probably Fannin if he was on the board. If they're in this range and maybe they move up for like Mason Taylor or something, I might like that a little better.
I had Mason Taylor going 32 to the Eagles in my
mind. That is much higher. I'm going like in the 70s. I'm going like low 60s.
There's a lot of talk about Taylor going early round 2, if not back end of round 1. I think the Eagles make sense because of the Goddard thing where maybe Goddard's dealt. I think Taylor's going a lot earlier. I would love a Mason Taylor and Elijah Arroyo at this spot. I just don't think either they're going to be there. I like Fannin. I just think for what the offense wants, like they already have, not that we're going to say, they have Stone Smart. They can't draft Harold Fannin, but kind of filling the exact same role there. And I think they need someone who at least projects as a better blocker. Maybe that would be Ferguson. You could always go Terrence Ferguson. I don't think Ferguson is a bad blocker either. And I agree. I don't think Helm's blocking is a strength of his game right now, but I like the receiving floor that's already there. He's a very reliable receiver. He's not a burner by any means, but I think he can be Tyler Conklin in the receiving game with a better blocking upside, which in the third round, I'm happy with that.
Gregory Harrison says, what about Aronde Gadsden of Syracuse? A little later. I wouldn't hate him as a day 3 guy. Yeah, can't block worth a damn. He's basically a 6'4" wide receiver.
I'm pretty sure he played wide receiver, and then they converted him to tight end.
His dad was a wide receiver, too, for the Dolphins. So.
Right, exactly. There you go. So I got a buddy of mine, by the way, who's a Dolphins and Syracuse fan, and he.
Oh, that poor guy! Oh my God!
But he is desperate for Aronde Gadsden.
I was deciding between. It's a pass catcher for me.
All right.
And I had 2 guys I was deciding between.
Is one of them Jalen Royals? I'm just taking a shot in the dark.
Actually, 3 guys I was deciding between.
Okay.
One of them was Jalen Royals.
Okay.
One of them was Kyle Williams.
Oh.
Slot guy out of Washington State.
Sure.
And the other one
was
Isaiah Bond.
Is that who you went with?
And I'm looking at these 3, and I'm thinking, all right, which one would I want on the Jets right now? What are they lacking? What don't they have? And what they don't have is a deep threat. So with the number 73 pick, they are taking Jalen Royals.
Oh, Jalen Royals. Okay. I thought you were going Bond with that. When you said deep threat, I thought you were going Bond.
Nah, I mean, he's got the other stuff too. But I know he's fast. I just feel like he's speed only because I think he's very small. And again, I'm going to run a 4.1 and then I run a 4.4,
For other reasons,
I think bad taste in my mouth.
For other reasons, I think I don't want him on the team too.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what's going to happen there, but
Yeah.
I don't want to take that chance, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Royals, on the other hand, I get it's a jump, Utah State to the New York Jets. But again, they just drafted a guy out of Canada last year, so I don't think they care about that.
It's true.
Royals is a supremely talented athlete. Great down the field, great nose for the end zone. Not just a burner, too, like knows how to use his speed, knows how to get open against zone coverage. And I think has been a lot better than people are giving him credit for when it comes to getting the ball in space and creating for himself.
Mm-hmm.
Royals is probably going to start the year as wide receiver 4. He probably jumps one of those guys, Lazard or Reynolds.
I don't even know if Lazard's on the roster. I'm not confident Lazard's on the roster. So
and then he starts as wide receiver 3. I think looking at Malachi Corley, I think I'm not saying I never want to pick a guy like Malachi Corley ever again, but let's put a freeze on that archetype for a little bit.
No Luther Burdens.
No Luther Burden. Well, yeah, but again, if Burden went to, like a creative offense.
Oh, sure. Send him to San Francisco. He's going to be awesome,
Yeah, he goes to Chip Kelly or something like that. But
yeah,
Royals is very much the antithesis. Very good route runner. Very good down the field. Like his hands. So because of that, I'm going to go with Royals over Bond because not only the other stuff, but I think he's more penciled in as just a burner, 100-meter guy instead of more of a complete wide receiver. Mm-hmm. And then Kyle Williams, I think, might be limited to the slot specifically, as good as he is. Royals, I don't think will be.
Yeah, Royals is one of your guys. You talked about him a lot, and I don't blame you at all. I can't claim him as one of my guys, but I do really, really like him as a prospect, and I would love if he was here at 72 or 73 if the Jets.
You think he will be? I think he will be.
I think he has a chance to go round 2 for sure. I'm not confident he will, but I think he's very much in that Kyle Williams tier where it's like, I could project him anywhere from 40 to 75, 80, and I think it's in his range, and it would make sense. It really just depends on the team and the evaluation and the fit. But, yeah, I love him as a prospect. I do think he would, if Lazard's not there, he could push for wide receiver 3. Right now, wide receiver 3 would be Tyler Johnson, right? Like, that's probably
Malachi. I wonder what this coaching staff's going to do with him.
He's the complete unknown. There's a chance Corley is like actually a wide receiver 3, and there's also a very decent chance he's off the roster. Brian asked, can Royals return punts? He returned kicks. I don't think he returned punts.
Wasn't Corley supposed to be punts?
Corley didn't do that at all though in college. So I think that was something that they were, or at least to my knowledge, I don't think he did it at all in college. Royals started kick returning this year. So maybe that's something that they can project, and they did bring back Kenny Nwangwu, but yeah, he can return kicks as well. So that's another part of his game. I like that a lot. And you needed a pass catcher. Now you got 2 of them in your draft. You got Warren and you got Royals. I like yours more than mine, by the way. I just, again, I'm going what I think is going to happen, not what I want to happen. But I do very much.
Walker's leaning heavily on that. So
yes. Oh yeah, Connerly I love is in round 2. Helm is fine in round 3. Let's go to round 4. Let's go to day 3.
This is where the real sickos shine.
This is where the sickos. We got 5 of these picks to talk about, and there's going to be some fun ones.
We got a 4th, 2 5s, and 2 6s. Should have had another 3rd, but Devontae Adams.
And they should have another 3rd next year, but that's
Hassan Reddick.
You went with
almost a 2nd.
It was. You went with one of your guys in Jalen Broyles there. I'm going to go with one of my guys and something that I've talked about a lot on the podcast. We went trenches in round 2. I'm going to go back to the trenches here and add another defensive player with the number 110 pick in the 4th round of the 2025 NFL Draft. The New York Jets select, in my mock, Jamari Caldwell, defensive tackle, Oregon. So that's actually 2 trenches players from Oregon that I have the Jets drafting here. I love Jamari Caldwell a lot, as I've talked about in the past. He is that one-tech nose tackle run stuffer that they need, because I don't think Derek Nottie can be that guy. I don't think Derek Nottie should be that guy. Caldwell can help, I don't want to say unlock Quinnen Williams, but it definitely makes his job a lot easier, improves the interior of your run defense a significant amount. I think he played a little bit heavy last year. He probably needs to get in. I mean, maybe I'd like to see him cut down a little bit. He's listed at 6'2", 332. I think he can play a little bit lighter than that and still maintain that, what he's got. I don't think the pass rush upside is significant with him, which makes it, I think that's why he's probably a day 3 guy, an early day 3 dude, but I like him a lot. I think he fills an immediate hole for the Jets and can immediately step in I don't think he's worse than Derek Nottie is right now. I think he is at the level of Derek Nottie, if not immediately better than him. And that's really what this Jets defensive line needs. You draft Jalen Walker, which doesn't really help your pass or your run defense that much, but you bring in a guy like Caldwell. Now you're beefing up that front seven, a front seven that took a major step back for the Jets last year. And I think, the Aaron Glenn and Steve Wilkes are going to go into this draft looking to add some of their guys to build around on defense. Caldwell is someone I think could be a starter in this league for a long time, even if he's never a star.
I like the idea of taking a guy who, he's not going to be a great pass rusher. He's 25, so there's less developmental upside, but he's so good at one specific role. Yeah. I don't even think, even if he doesn't surpass Nottie on the depth chart, I think he's good competition there. Because also, I think Leonard Taylor could actually play a role in the rotation, and I don't think he's the best run defender right now. So that could pretty much set up your defensive line rotation if you take him there.
That's why there were other D tackles available here, but most of them were pass rush guys. Where I'm just like a JJ Pegues or whoever. Right? I'm just like, I don't.
How do you say it, Pegues?
Is that how you say it, Pegues? That's how I've said it. And then Aeneas
Pegues. Pegues? I don't know.
I don't think it's Pegues. I think it's Pegues. But yeah, that's like some guys like that. I don't think they need that because I think Leonard Taylor can be that. I think Leonard Taylor can be your backup 3 tech next year. There's no reason why he shouldn't be. I think he showed enough in year 1. You really just need more run defenders and more run stuffers. And as Brian said in chat, I agree that 1 tech can be drafted in rounds 4 or 5. Absolutely. And that's what I would look to draft a guy like that is, draft a 1 tech run stuffer in early or mid day 3, I think is the sweet spot for that.
I also have them going defensive tackle, but rather than filling a role, I have them going for a little bit of an upside play, but a guy who I think with a little bit of Aaron Glenn, Steve Wilkes seasoning could be a really good playmaker. And I'm surprised more guys don't have him going in the first 100 picks as I have him as a top 100 pick. Okay. Managed to slide to 110.
Who would that be?
He's a defensive tackle with the 110th pick in the 2025 NFL draft. I have the New York Jets selecting Ty Robinson.
Oh, okay.
Tackle from Nebraska.
Yeah.
One of the old black shirts, they call him on those defenses.
Sure.
You know who my comp for Ty Robinson is?
Is it somebody
Evander Holyfield, the boxer. And I'm not even a huge fan of his fighting style, Evander Holyfield, but he was basically a cruiserweight in terms of his size. He was fighting heavyweights and winning to a point where he lost an ear in the process because he was headbutting Mike Tyson, and Mike Tyson got frustrated and bit his ear off. Robinson is like that in that he's only listed at 288.
Yeah.
Which is not big for a defensive tackle, but
6'5".
Pound for pound, he's one of the strongest guys, I think, in this class. I think if you miss on TJ Sanders, who has a very similar style of play, I think you get him.
Mm-hmm.
I think you get Robinson, who ran a 4.83 40-yard dash at 290. That is freakish.
Yeah.
7 sacks last year, very good pass rush potential. And I really, just from what I've seen, the question's always going to be, I know he plays a little high because you don't see very many 6'6" defensive tackles nowadays with the pure nose tackle kind of getting phased out. But if he learns to play with some better pad level, he's got the raw strength and the quickness where I think he could be a great run defender. A guy who I think could really push Derek Nottie, and a guy who, unlike Caldwell, because Caldwell's a really good run defender, I see a lot higher pass rush upside in Ty Robinson without sacrificing too much of the run defense that they'd probably draft him for.
Yeah, I think Robinson might have been on the board when I was picking there too. It's funny that we both went D tackle.
Ryan Glick says, "Don't sleep on CJ West from Indiana." He was right there. It was like him or he was right there for me.
I don't think West. I think West is a day 2 guy. I think he's late day 2. I don't think he makes it out of. I don't think he makes it out of the 4th. I'll say that. I think the 4th round is his absolute floor. Probably going to go maybe like 3rd would be my guess. He's a very, very. If you want somebody to fill that 1 tech role, absolutely CJ West. Ty Robinson, he's a versatile player too. Like he played all over that Nebraska defensive line. He's less of a traditional 1 tech, obviously, because of his size. So it doesn't fill the same role as Caldwell, even if we went same position. But I like the pick. And if they think they can mold him into just a versatile chess piece along that D line, I like the potential as well.
Or you could I think his frame could take like 10 extra pounds and then you just make him a 1 tech. Like
you could do. I mean, he's 6'5". He has room to grow for sure.
I mean, he was listed at 310, so somebody was lying over there in Lincoln, Nebraska, because he is not 310. But
yeah, no, definitely not. All right, so let's move along to the fifth round here. And I'm going to go with another player who has been mocked to the Jets quite a bit. This is maybe the most popular day 3 mock projection for the Jets.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it makes sense.
I feel it. I know it.
You might be going this route too, Mike. I don't know if this is too early. I think his stock is rising a little bit. Give me, with the number 145 pick in the 5th round of the 2025 NFL Draft, I have the New York Jets selecting R.J. Mickens, safety out of Clemson. And
Why is he R.J.? Because he is Ray Mickens Jr.
Exactly. For those who don't know, this is the son of former Jets cornerback Ray Mickens, of course.
And Aaron Glenn teammate.
I was about to say a former teammate of Aaron Glenn as well, and they remain very close. The Jets did speak to Mickens, I believe, at the Combine, and this is such an obvious one. Glenn and Mickens are extremely close, and the Jets need safety. Like, they need a safety, and Mickens is a fun player who I think comes with a very NFL-ready skill set, which you should not be surprised because he played 60 career games at Clemson, which I don't have the stat in front of me. I think I remember seeing a stat said that he played the most games ever of any Clemson player, I think, or something along those lines. Extremely experienced player. Because he's a little bit older, he's going to turn 24 before the start of the season, but very well-rounded player. He's an unspectacular athlete. I wouldn't say he's anything like, special. He's never going to be, he's not your Nick Emmanwori type, right? But he also played a lot on special teams at Clemson, and I think everything that the Jets should be looking for is like a core special teamer and rotational safety. That's what R.J. Mickens can be. And then, of course, there's the Jets connection with son of Ray Mickens, former teammate of Aaron Glenn, Ray Mickens. I think it just makes too much sense. And I would not be shocked at all if the Jets went Mickens at some point on day 3.
If versatility is what you're going for, he's the guy. Then he is totally the guy. And the big thing I like about him, too, number one, he's super smart. Super smart in a way that it comes from the amount of experience he's had at Clemson. Better in cover. Like, his dad was like a sticky man coverage guy. That's not really RJ's game. It's a lot more kind of like an old school strong safety, good run defender. The kind of guy, I don't know if I would pick him based purely on like special teams value right here. Like, if you're deciding between two players, I don't know if I'd say special teams, but he is going to play on special teams. I think he'd be great there, if nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'd be the immediate backup safety. And you know what? If they wanted to convert him to like a dime back, I think he could probably do it, like a bigger dime back. So
he played some nickel at Clemson.
Jarp and our Converse, watch out. I think that might be the I think that's who this pick might be directed at. But Mickens, very safe. The only thing I wouldn't love is, doesn't this seem like a little nepo-y if he goes to the Jets specifically?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'd be.
Yes, 100%.
If he goes to any other team, I don't have that question, but
No, 100%. I mean, why did the Steelers draft what's his name? The
Joey Porter Jr.
No.
Joey Porter Jr. was also a first round talent.
Yeah. So. Yes, but no. I was talking about Cam Hayward's brother, Connor Hayward.
Why did they draft the Eagles did it with Jeremiah Trotter Jr.
Sure, there you go. But yeah,
these things happen. So
they happen a lot, and I think this is, again, I'm going what I think the Jets are going to do. Not necessarily. I'm not saying I would be upset. In fact, I would love it if they draft Mickens, just for the story of it. It'd be very fun. Maybe 145 is a tad early for him, but I think his stock is rising, and like you said, an incredibly intelligent player who I think he's going to have a long NFL career. I feel very confident about that. I don't know if he's going to be a starter forever, but I think he's playing 8+ years in the NFL.
I do too. I'm going with safety for my pick, but
we are in lockstep.
It is not R.J. Mickens. It's a guy who is a little more of an old school. I'm going to come down and just lay some wood on you right now.
All right.
And it's a guy who played alongside somebody who's going to be picked in the top 75, but I think he got overshadowed a little bit, and I think he could be a really good value pick at this point. With the 145th pick in the 2025 NFL draft. As we really clicked for him, Brian Glick has a couple different things where he said Mickens give a special teams value.
Yes.
Totally in agreement with that. He also said, I want to be a Jet. That's also true. And then he said, if the Steelers want to trade up to 7 for a quarterback, I'm all in on Nick Emmanwori.
I mean, I don't think they want to. I don't think the Steelers would trade up to 7. But yeah, I mean, if you get Emmanwori at 21, I'm not upset about that. Actually,
if they got him at 15, I'd be fine. I'm a big fan of him.
In my mock, I actually have the Steelers drafting Emmanwori at 21, so that's kind of funny.
Oh, I have them getting Walter Nolan. So with I
We'll
think
see.
he fall. The other day I heard he was falling in because of character concerns. Now he's going to go 11. Yeah, who
All it
knows?
takes is one. I think he's going higher than 11, but we'll see.
You think he's going to go 9? Okay. That's
8.
what you get. You know what? That's his biggest
Go
flaw is he's named Walter. I don't know.
I'm
Walter
going.
is not a football name for a
Nolan Walter would be a better name.
outside of Walter Jones. Yeah, I don't know.
Sure.
Like,
All
I
right,
think of like an old man teacher when I hear Walter. Like, you know,
sure. What do you got? Who's your pick?
with the number 145 pick in a very roundabout way to get there. The Jets are taking Jalen Reed,
I knew you were saying that. Yep.
safety from Penn State, who got overshadowed because of Kevin Winston.
Yep.
Who I think is going to still probably go in the top 75. Putting
As
on
he
the top 50, I think, if he didn't get hurt.
Yeah.
Reed is if you like old school aggressive contact guys, I mean, this is the guy. Really good diagnosing skills, really good speed, moves up everywhere. Almost played it in kind of that money linebacker Todd Bowlesy position a little bit, and man, he just hits hard. Super smart guy. Great, not good, great special teamer.
Yeah.
Now, the problem is he can be a little too aggressive. And while he tested okay, like he didn't always play like he tested. If that makes any sense. So that's the concern I have is he could be, especially early on, he might be very easy to manipulate in coverage, but I trust Aaron Glenn and Steve Wilkes to improve his coverage skills. That's just me.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get that, and then you get a guy who can hit like this, and you get a special teams demon, I think that's a good way to use your pick number 145 here.
As soon as you mentioned that, like, oh, he played along someone that was going top 75, I knew you were going Jalen Reed there. Yeah, I like him a lot. Obviously not as much as I'd like Winston, but that makes sense. Much like Mickens, I think he's someone who can immediately step in as a core special teamer while competing for a starting job in a very weak Jets safety room. It is very funny. We've really mirrored each other's, at least the last 2 picks. I'm very interested to see. I will be very confident saying I don't think that's going to happen.
You haven't get a wide receiver yet. I wonder about that.
Not have him getting a wide receiver yet. That's correct. And again, this is not what I would do. I think they should do that. I think they should draft a wide receiver earlier, but I think they brought in Reynolds. They have Tyler Johnson. I think they're going to be okay not drafting a wide receiver until a little bit later is my guess right now. So with that,
Ryan Glick says, I'm feeling the vibe today, fellas. Go Jets. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, brother.
I will say I don't have them drafting a wide receiver here either. Wow. And honestly, a lot of that was just me looking at the board and being like, there is really nobody here that I think they would want. I think like Tay Felton was the top wide receiver, and I'm like, they're not going Tay Felton.
He's not going to be.
I'm saying that now.
Go day 2.
You think he'd go that high? Ooh,
yeah.
No, I think
I have him like the first pick of round 4 or something like that. So
I think he's probably a day 3 guy, like earlier day 3. But yeah. I still don't think they would watch them take him now. You know, it's like, oh, the Jets aren't trading Elijah Moore, and then immediately
at 42.
Oh my God, dude! Anyway, I have them going a position that I don't think a lot of people are projecting the Jets to draft, but I will say this. Really
quick before that, now Sternbeck says I would take Winston the 3rd round if they go offense.
Would not be opposed to that at all. Kevin Winston in the 3rd round.
If he's healthy, he's a freak.
Yeah, we talked about it going into the year. It was Malachi Starks and Kevin Winston were the 2 top safeties everyone talked about. Now even Warriors climbed up boards and there's a few other guys there, but Winston at 73, if he's there at 73 and the medicals are good, dude, I think he's a day 1 starter. I think he move aside Tony Adams. That's all right. Kevin Winston, I think, would start over him. But with this pick, I think there is something to the Jahdae Barron buzz. I think that the Jets are looking at cornerback a little bit. And I think specifically they're looking at a versatile guy who can maybe play that nickel position. I don't know what Aaron Glenn thinks of Michael Carter II.
I select R.J. Mickens. Oh, wait.
They can do that too. He can
draft him again.
Maybe he can play nickel. But no, I think there's something to that. And when I'm looking at this class, and I was looking at some of the players that were on the board at this pick at pick 162, one guy stood out to me as an Aaron Glenn type player. So he's a bit older, but with the number 162 pick in the 2025 NFL draft, I have the Jets selecting Elijah Huzzie, which is not somebody that we have really talked about at all. I don't think we mentioned his name. Cornerback from North Carolina. Like Glenn, smaller corner, 5'9", 193. I think he is a nickel at the next level. He did play a little outside with North Carolina, was a transfer from East Tennessee State. 24 years old, so he's a bit on the older side, but very competitive dude. He plays bigger than his size, even though he's small. He plays bigger than that. The reason I think he's going to,
I do not believe he's 5'10", 193. Those are both lies.
5'9", 193. But he plays with a competitive spirit. That's like, this guy is tough. Like, he's a tough as nails player. He is going to fall a little bit, I think, and I think he'll probably be available around the spot because he did have an ACL injury at an East-West Shrine practice. I don't believe it was like torn to my knowledge, but it did hold him out for the rest of the draft process. Based on everything I saw, I think he's supposed to be ready for the start of the season, but we'll see what the medicals are looking like there. I like him a lot. He's undersized, doesn't really have the height and length that you'd want for the position, but I think he could play nickel. And also a very experienced player, played 58 games in college, started the last 2 years at North Carolina. Also, punt return experience. He has a punt return touchdown in each of the last 2 years. So if you're looking for a punt returner, which they don't really have one right now, it's Xavier Gibson would be that guy. I don't think Kenny Nwangwu was doing that. Huzzy projects as somebody who I think can immediately compete for that punt return job, can compete for depth behind Michael Carter. And listen, I don't know how the Jets feel about Michael Carter. The fact that they're sniffing around the Jahdae Barron market makes me think at least, if there is truth to that, they're willing to move on from him. And Carter, I think he's probably there this year. I don't think you're drafting Elijah Huzzy to replace him right now, but you can cut a lot Michael Carter after next year and save a lot of cap space. So I think that's something they can potentially consider if they were to go this route. I don't think that they're locked into him long term. And look, he was very good. Obviously, 2022, 2023 was hurt pretty much all of last year. And I'm not sure what the projection of him is moving forward. And if you are going to pay Sauce Gardner, you just paid Brandon Stevens, maybe they want to get a cheaper, younger replacement in there. And I think Huzzy can be that guy.
Brian Glick disagrees. Huzzy is a 7th-round pick, never going to see the field for the Jets.
Well, all right, man. Listen, I disagree. I
mean, I get where he's coming from in that. I don't love the lack of long speed for a guy his size.
Sure.
I don't love the injury, and I also don't love – how do I explain this? He's very – I think he might be zone coverage limited. I just don't know if he has the man coverage skills right now.
Steve Wilkes plays a lot of zone, though. I think
he does, but Aaron Glenn played a lot of man. So
I know it's hard to project what the defense is going to look like. Yeah, I mean, because the lack of long speed definitely hurts that, but also
but he's played everywhere. I like his ball skills a lot.
16 career interceptions for Elijah Huzzy.
39 pass breakups as well.
Yep.
He's returned in the past. Very tough guy, a leader on that defense.
Also had 2 sacks last year.
He did have 2 sacks last year. A guy who, just through sheer spit and sawdust and hard work, has made it something. So now I know there's Brian Glenn. They have Quantez Stiggers. They have Michael Carter and JBC. He might not make the roster. They pick him. I think JBC's gone.
Yeah, I would not put a lot of stock into Jark Bernard-Converse. He was a 6th-round pick who's now going to his second regime. I know he was impressive in the summer, and I want to see what he could do. But, I'm looking at more of a nickel backup here because Huzzy would play nickel. I don't think Huzzy's playing outside corner in the NFL. I think he's just way too small for that. I know Glenn was able to do it. He's even smaller than Glenn. I think he'd play nickel. So Bernard-Converse and Stiggers aren't really nickel guys. Like Eccles was your backup nickel, and he's gone now. So they don't really – they signed Chris Boyd. He's not playing nickel. Looking at the roster, they don't have a backup nickel corner on the roster. Maybe they draft a safety that can do that. Maybe Mickens can do that. But, I'm looking at that. And then when you're looking at this area of the draft, you're looking at guys who can fill a specific role, which he's filling a special teams and punt returner role. I think immediately can at least compete for spots there, and who can develop into a starter. Huzzy's not playing year one. Like, he's not going to start year one. I think you're looking at year 2. If he develops, maybe he can step into that role.
I'm going to go back to the trenches for my 5th-round pick here.
So we went different here, which I expected. I didn't think you'd go corner here.
I'm going to go with a backup guard from a program that produces a lot of offensive linemen. This is where helmet scouting can work out a little bit. And a guy who's very experienced and I think could fill in at multiple spots so we don't get any more Chris Glazer, Xavier Newman-Johnson situations.
Sure.
With the number 162 pick, the New York Jets will select Connor Colby.
Oh, okay.
Guard from Iowa. That's always a good Iowa, Wisconsin. Some programs, Alabama, some programs produce good linemen.
I thought you were going to go, what's the Wisconsin guy, Joe Huber. I thought you were going there.
He's a little over for me. But 50 career starts, a lot of zone blocking because that's what Ferentz kind of moved to after he was forced to fire his son, which I think is funny, as offensive coordinator. Super smart guy, leader on that offensive line, very strong, country strong kind of guy. a guy who is probably never going to be a great starter by himself, but he's played center, he's played guard, he's played tackle, he can move all over the place. As much as they need a starting right tackle, like they have, the only really backup that I'm interested in is Josh Myers. Other than that, I mean, Carter Warren's a lost cause.
I think Xavier Newman's fine.
Yeah, this guy's better than Xavier Newman. Xavier Newman replacement, Connor Colby.
Okay.
Plus, I really do like the versatility with him. And I like guys at this point in the draft that are just very experienced. Because I was reading about how NIL is good for guys who could have been like undrafted guys, because then they go back a year and beef their stock up a little bit. This is one of those guys. And I think you could parlay that into a selection with the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you start 50 games at a program like Iowa along the offensive line, that's going to make me take notice. I believe he was also first team All Big Ten last year. So, versatile guy, experienced guy. The Jets can use some more offensive line depth. I will say, spoiler, I don't have them adding any more, but I definitely would not be opposed to it. Just because of the Myers pickup. And, I think they're okay with their backup offensive lineman as long as they add a starting right tackle, but they definitely can always add more. You can never have too many backup offensive linemen. Brian said Isaac Tesla, wide receiver, at pick 145.
I like it. Here's the weird thing about Isaac Tesla. Andrew Armstrong was also there. He was better the entire year. For some reason, Andrew Armstrong's like a UDFA, and Tesla, who had like 25 catches, is going to be picked. I know he didn't test great, but I mean, what do you have, like 1,200 yards, Andrew Armstrong?
Something like that, yeah.
I don't know why he's not – I'm not saying he's going to be like a top 100 pick, but at least a day 3 guy here.
I think he'll probably end up going day 3. But anyway, speaking of wide receivers, Mike, I think it's about time we had a wide receiver, at least in my mock draft. And again, I will say I like your mock more than mine still right now. This is, again, I do like your mock.
Well, I mean, obvious. I mean,
listen, I'm just drafting as if I think maybe that's the excuse though. If I just draft a bad mock.
So if you draft shitty, you're like, oh, this is what the Jets would do because they're bad. Okay.
Drafting Shamar Stewart. That's what I think's happening.
Oh,
I'm going to finally go wide receiver here because I think it's high time we had a wide receiver to this room, and one of the most interesting wide receiver prospects in this draft is who I'm going with here. So, with the number 186 pick in the 6th round of the 2025 NFL Draft, I have the New York Jets selecting Nick Nash, wide receiver. Nick Nash, wide receiver out of San Jose State, as I'm struggling to type this all out. Extremely fascinating prospect because he will
be quarterback. He reversed Ryan Tannehill it.
He will be 26 years old before the start of the 2025 season. And
is the Tyler Shook situation?
He spent, I believe, 7 years at San Jose State. He was recruited in 2018.
A lot of people go to school for 7 years.
2018 was his first year at San Jose.
Have you never seen Tommy Boy?
I haven't, no. But
that's a problem.
The reason is he spent his first 4 years, 4 years, whatever, as a quarterback before he finally moved to wide receiver. It wasn't until 2023 that he actually started games and played more than a handful of games in a season as a wide receiver. And that was already his 6th year in college. But what he's done over the last 2 years has put him on the radar of NFL teams. And what I think,
as Brian Glick says really quick, amen. I live in San Jose, watched him a lot. Please pick him.
There you go, man. Listen,
voice there.
You want a guy that's producing? Nick Nash last year, 104 catches, 1,382 yards, 16 catches. He was a consensus All-American, Mike, out of San Jose State, despite having basically 2 years of experience at wide receiver. Obviously, he's a bit older, but he is 6'2", 203 pounds, and I think he plays even bigger than that. Doesn't really have great.
You mean Nick more receiving yards than Travis Hunter and Tedero McMillan Nash?
Yes, I do. That is exactly what I mean. In fact, the Jets should draft him in round 1. I wouldn't be pissed. No, but there's obvious, downsides to him. He's older, and I don't think he has like the elite speed. He is, I think, somebody who can project really well as a big slot at the next level. Because I'm not sure if the release package is fully there yet either. And obviously, the route tree isn't particularly great. He didn't play wide receiver very much, but I think there's room to grow there, and he's somebody who can play that big slot role. He's not going to make everyone, he's not going to make a ton of guys miss after the catch, but as a possession receiver in the slot, that's somebody that I want on my team. And I think the Jets really haven't had when's the last big slot the Jets had? Quincy Enunwa? Is that the last true big slot they had?
Yes.
It's been a while, man.
And then his neck disintegrated and he had to retire.
Dude, I was at the green and white practice where he had that neck injury. And I don't think anyone realized how serious it was at the time, but that is a tragedy that happened to Quincy Enunwa. But yeah, I love Nick Nash. And as Brian said, Nash is smart. He will find the holes in his zone. He just gets open. He does. And that is something that I look for in an NFL draft prospect, even if I don't think he has the speed necessarily, the top end speed to be as productive at the next level. Obviously, he's not. I don't think he's going for 1,200 yards. I think he's someone who can carve out a role for himself. Even though he's an older player, I like him a lot. And I think he immediately, despite being a developmental guy, I think he can also find a role in year one.
Well, the weird thing about Nash, too, is he has all these receiving yards and 13 yards a catch. His longest play was 44 yards.
Yeah.
So he's not getting a bunch of 80-yard touchdowns in there. It's 3rd and 7, I'm getting 9 yards. It's 3rd and 5, I'm getting 7 yards. Like that's what he's going to do in the NFL.
Part of that's because he's not really a dynamic yak guy. Like I don't think he makes it.
It's also just weird to use a pick on a developmental 26-year-old rookie.
Well, that's why he's going 6th round. If he was 12.
Right, if he was 23, what round is he going?
3, maybe. You know, like
that's what I'm thinking. Yeah,
so. Like 3 because of the upside there. It's like, hey, there's so much room to grow. You know.
Yeah. I'm not gonna. As much as I like the Nick Nash pick, I think he was off the board by this point in my mock. I'm having the Jets go back to defense, not a Jalen Walker level pick, but a pass rusher nonetheless. Okay. More of a Bryce Huff designated pass rusher. Not going to defend the run, but go and get those sacks.
Sure.
Kind of guy. So with the 186th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Jets will select Kamon Rucker, an edge from North Carolina. I was him or Ja Joyner were in there.
Okay.
I think Joyner went just for him. Rucker is not going to defend the run. Especially, I remember there was a game, I think it might have been Clemson, where he was just getting bullied. I'm like, man, this is not good. So don't ask him to put his hand in the dirt. Don't ask him to really try to make anything happen against power running schemes, even as a pass rusher, because he's only 6'1", 250.
Yeah.
Not a big guy. And he doesn't have the Jalen Walker, I can play linebacker and be awesome at it, too, upside. But my God, is this guy quick off the snap. Just really fast, really explosive, smart guy, too. Like, I don't think I ever saw him once get, like, you bite on a play action and they throw for 30 yards. I don't think I ever saw any of that with Kamon Rucker. And in the open field, I think he's really good. I like the burst. I like the open field tackling. A guy who you're not going to it's like Jamari Caldwell to a degree. You know what you're getting with him. Very known quantity, older player. Not going to be extremely versatile, but man, oh man, can this guy get to the quarterback?
I love the Bryce Huff shout out because it sounds exactly like Bryce Huff there, or like an Agbanaya Okoronkwo, someone like that. Very similar size, like 6'1", 250. The quick first step is what I think is going to allow him to carve out a role as a rotational guy, probably at the NFL level. I like that a lot. We both got a North Carolina defensive player in our mocks here. And yeah, the Jets just need more depth at edge rusher. Like they do not have much there. Obviously I got them that with Walker. I guess I should put edge next to Walker to linebacker edge. But yeah, I think the Jets will add an edge rusher at some point in this draft. And if they don't go round 1 or day 1 or day 2, day 3, they will add somebody.
I think that might influence, we talked about the Barron pick about, it might be Brian Branch. I think all those years in Detroit were outside of Aiden Hutchinson. He never had a pass rush. Aaron Glenn's probably thinking, man, first thing I do, I'm getting a pass rush.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might be part of it.
I agree. And they have some pieces there now, but they definitely need more depth. All right, Mike, it's last pick time. It's the Mr. Irrelevant of our mocks, not Mr. Irrelevant in the draft. But
last year they had Mr. Irrelevant, yeah. Brian Glick says kicker. I don't know. Never draft a kicker or a punter.
There's the Borregales stuff. They have 2 kickers on their roster right now. They also have 2 punters on their roster. I would be surprised if they drafted a specialist for that reason. Even if maybe Zerline isn't with the team going into camp, they still have him on the roster right now. Maybe he's a post-June first cut. But for now, I did not go specialist. I did not go Andres Borregales or whoever else you want to throw in there. I went with a running back because this is a damn good running back class. And I know the Jets have some good running backs right now. Breece Hall, we got Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis. We've talked a lot about the running back position. We've talked a lot about it with the Ashton Genty stuff. I would not be surprised if the Jets dip into this running back class at some point. And I gave them somebody who they've met with already. And honestly, another guy who, like Nash, is I think one of the most interesting players in this class. So with the number 207 pick in the 6th round of the 2025 NFL Draft, I have the New York Jets selecting Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, running back from Arizona.
The combine snub.
And I should have made.
How did he get snubbed from the combine?
I should have made this. I don't know. Well, I know why he got snubbed, because he didn't play last year. He played one game last year.
You think they'd invite him and be like, all right, let's see if this guy can do anything, right?
You would think, and a lot of teams have met with him. The Jets had a top 30 visit with Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, which, with those top 30 visits, I don't put a lot of stock into the early round ones. Like the Jets had a top 30 with Mason Graham and Tyler Warren. I don't think that means that they're more likely to draft one of those guys than someone else.
Some teams it does. Like I know the Steelers only draft guys they do top 30 visits with. So
I put more stock into top 30 visits when it comes to day 3. And that's where I'm looking at. So, like, if the Jets, another wide receiver I consider was Arian Smith out of Georgia, because the Jets had
just speed. Yeah.
Yes. He can't really catch, but
he can't really play football, but he's very fast.
Yeah, that was another guy that I considered the Jets drafting just because they had a top.
Just draft Usain Bolt.
Remember Tyler Harrell, who was the undrafted guy the Jets signed last year?
I got a better one. Remember Trendon Holiday?
Yes. Broncos,
he was like 5'5", and he couldn't play football. He just could run the 100 meters.
He returned too. He was a Broncos, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, he's not gonna. He's 5'5". I mean,
receiver. But yeah, I have them taking Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. Very interesting player. Was a couple years starter at Alabama State. Transferred to New Mexico in 2023. Rushed for almost 1,200 yards. Going into 2024, he transferred to Arizona. And there was a lot of people that were like, "Hey, man, look. This is a good running back year. There's a lot of good running backs." He was on some like early season, like, hey, watch for him to be a breakout player this year. Watch for him to be like an All-American. He played one game at Arizona, rushed 13 times for 106 yards and a touchdown. And then the NCAA came in and were like, actually, you're not eligible. And actually, you technically weren't eligible to even transfer to Arizona because you ran out of eligibility. And so we're cutting you off. And he did not play another game, which is crazy that happened. I don't know how the NCAA allowed that situation to even happen.
Yeah, if he played already, you know why?
Right.
I'll just say, all right, fine, you got it. We messed up, but whatever.
Right. He played in a game already, and then they were like, wait a minute, we actually screwed up, which is wild to me. So he got really screwed over there. But I like Ja'Cory Krosky.
James Wiseman, remember that with Memphis?
Oh, in Memphis, yeah, he played a few games.
Like 2 games, and then
Yes. But yeah, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, I mean, he's an older player as well. He's 24 years old because he played, I think, 6 years in college, which is very common. If you look at a lot of players in this draft, just because of the COVID year, it messed up a lot of players.
And NIL guys are going back for you.
And NIL, there's a lot of just eligibility stuff going around, but very, very, very talented running back, creates those chunk plays. And I think he can be kind of like a change of pace weapon in the offense. I think he can immediately compete for snaps, with like an Isaiah Davis. I don't know how the new regime feels about the running backs currently on the roster, but I like Krosky-Merritt a lot. He's also 5'11", 206. I wish he was at the combine, dude. I really wish he got to run at the combine because I'd love to see what his actual numbers were. He ran a 4.45 at the pro day. It's hard to know how much to actually put stock into that, but I do think a lot of teams are very interested in him. I wouldn't be shocked if he's off the board before this, because I think if he played this year at Arizona, he might have been a day 2 pick. Like, legitimately, he might have been a day 2 guy if he had actually played.
He's just so tough to evaluate. I mean, Justin, would you be comfortable evaluating 2022 Alabama State film and making
no? And then there's 1 year of film at New Mexico where he was good, but it's just really difficult.
He also, if you look at the 1 year in New Mexico, I mean, his numbers at Alabama State weren't even. He really only had. I don't think he ran for more than like 600, 700 yards.
He ran for over 500 yards in a single year at Alabama State.
Yeah, so I mean, he could just be like an outlier, but
he did not average. I mean, granted, it was Alabama State. I can't imagine Alabama State had many offensive line prospects going to the NFL.
Well, I can't imagine he was playing against very many NFL players either. So it goes both ways. True,
but he had that amazing year, averaged over 6 yards per carry at New Mexico, 17 touchdowns as well. I will say, very limited.
4.45 at 210. He tested very well.
Right.
41-inch vertical too.
Very limited production in the receiving game, which that's something to keep an eye on. He only had 7 catches in a full year at New Mexico, which is kind of wild for a starting running back. Only have 7 catches. The pass production tape, to my knowledge, is not pretty good either, but I like what I see of him as a pure runner, and I think that's going to get him drafted at some point on day 3.
I'm going to lean on the most Aaron Glenn player who has ever Aaron Glenned.
Okay, we're going corner here.
It's a cornerback. It's a smaller corner, but it's a guy who Aaron Glenn's going to see him and go, I get it. I know what to do with this guy because he plays like me.
Elijah Huzzy.
With the number 207 pick in 2025 NFL Draft, the New York Jets will select Upton Stout.
Oh, Western Kentucky, right?
A cornerback from Western Kentucky.
Yeah.
All 5'8", 181 pounds of Upton Stout, which are historically small outliers. 5'8" is in the bottom, I think, like 5-ish% of cornerbacks. 180 is in the bottom 3%.
Yeah.
Tiny guy. He played safety in college for a little bit. He moved all over the place. A guy who, again, just through sheer tyranny of will, said, I'm going to make myself into a pretty good player. So you're going to have concerns about, can he tackle in the NFL? Probably not going to be great. Although he tries very hard and is better than his size would indicate. Is he going to be able to really be versatile? Well, I don't know, because you're probably not going to put him on DK Metcalf.
No.
I don't think he's going to defend him very well. And he's been hurt a lot because he's so small. But a guy who, for his size, will actually pop you when he's running. Yes. Good in zone, too. I think in zones where he's really going to stand out. Has moved all around. Decent ball skills, too. He's like Dennis Rodman, where he's getting all the rebounds even though he's not that big. He knows how to time stuff, knows how to knock a ball away. A guy who, again, the special teams value, I think that goes without saying. This is the kind of guy, I think Aaron Glenn, being an undersized cornerback, is probably going to work with a lot of undersized cornerbacks with the Jets. Because if anybody knows how to make it work, I mean, Aaron Glenn was 5'9", 180. Now, again, he was a crazy good athlete who was really fast. I don't think Upton Stout's that fast, but he knows what it takes to play in the NFL at that size. And I think Stout has shown enough in college where Aaron Glenn can put him on that developmental track and really watch him cook.
The craziest stat I just saw with Upton Stout is, despite being 5'8", 181, he led all defensive backs with 21 reps in the bench press at the combine. That's crazy. That's crazy.
21. I couldn't do 2. He did 21.
Do you know what the weight is on those? I have no idea.
225.
It's 225. Okay, I don't
know if that includes the bar or not, but yeah, 225.
I couldn't do one. I'm not gonna lie. I can't bench.
Yeah, I probably couldn't do one. Maybe if my life depended on it, I could do one. Like through sheer adrenaline, like maybe I could do one.
You could hold a gun to my head. I'm probably not.
It's just like your body's like, it's like fight or flight. You're like, maybe I could get one. I don't know.
No, man. My upper body strength is not there.
But it's falling on my neck and crushing my neck.
I do love that shot.
Remember that guy at USC who had that happen? The running back.
He had a barf on his neck.
Yeah, he was like it was there. I think Joe McKnight was in that room. It was like him and 2 other guys.
Oh.
And I think he was lifting weights, and he was going to play in the NFL, and then came down his neck.
Was he okay?
Yeah, he lived, but like he
right.
was supposed to be like a mid-round pick, and I think he just like became a practice squad guy for a little bit.
Oh my God, I don't know anything about that. That's crazy.
Stephon Johnson was his name. Yeah, it was Joe McKnight, Stephon Johnson, and I want to say C.J. Gable were all supposed to be picked. I think only McKnight got picked, but
yeah, no, obviously McKnight was USC.
It was. Oh yeah, he was less than 275, and I think he did it without a spotter too. So use a spotter.
Okay, well that doesn't that not a victim blame.
Or it's the worst spotter ever, and that's the one thing you're there for.
Brian points out. I just want to point this out because what a shout. The Jets have only ever drafted one player with the 207th pick, and that's Jonathan Marshall. I thought
Jonathan Marshall.
I thought Jonathan Marshall was gonna be good. I did
too.
I couldn't believe that after the first, because he showed some promise in year 1, and then going into year 2, I was like, all right, he's going to earn a role. Maybe he's going to be like a nose tackle or something, or a deep tackle that they develop. And then he got cut, and I was pissed. I was mad that he got cut. Fun fact: I broke the news that he was cut that year.
You did, yes.
I was.
He ran a 4.88 at 310 pounds.
Yeah, he was an RAS god. He had a ridiculous. I think it was like a
9.99. Yeah,
9.99. All right, dude. He was pre Zach Kuntz. He was defensive Zach Kuntz. Except he
was healthy.
What is he doing right now? I know he was.
I think he's out of the league.
He was on a couple of he was with the Steelers. I know for a little bit.
I think he's out of the league.
Damn it, man. He was with the Steelers. Name with the Jags. Brutal. That sucks.
That does. Well, he got a couple years in at least. He got 2 career tackles. It's
shame for
it's
John.
2 more than we have. So
that's true. The fun fact is the Jets have also, I don't believe they've ever picked at number 7. This will be the first time if they stay at number 7 overall that they will ever pick at number 7. I think that's a true statement.
So immediately it's going to be their worst pick ever.
Maybe if they draft I mean, we'll see.
And their best pick ever, so.
Maybe their best pick. But anyway, those are our final mocks. Let's show them one more time for the people at home, and let's get rid of this little thing here so people can see. And that behind Mike that just says Upton Stout Corner from Western Kentucky. That's fine.
Scroll up maybe, and
I could. Yeah, I guess I could do that. Whatever.
Hooray! Okay.
There we go. So we'll read them one more time for the audio listeners at home, and I will do I'll do mine first. So first round, Jalen Walker, linebacker, edge from Georgia. Second round, Josh Connerly, tackle from Oregon. Third round, Gunnar Helm, tight end from Texas. Fourth round, Jamari Caldwell, defensive tackle from Oregon. Fifth round is R.J. Mickens, safety from Clemson. Fifth round as well is Elijah Huzzy, cornerback from North Carolina. In the sixth round, you get Nick Nash, wide receiver, San Jose State, and Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, running back from – it's weird. It feels weird even putting Arizona because he played one game in Arizona, but technically from Arizona.
When Jamie Newman came out, he was at Georgia and he never played for them. So
what do I not? Who's Jamie Newman? What do I not?
Remember he was a quarterback.
Oh my God, yeah.
He did that slow mesh where they would like hold the ball for 5 seconds and then make a decision.
Dude, I totally forgot he existed.
He was supposed to be a first-round pick, and then he did like, I'm going to sit like Jamar Chase. I'm going to sit out in COVID, and then he went undrafted and like never played.
Yeah.
Talk about bad advice.
He took over for Sam Hartman at Wake Forest.
Yes, he did. It was hit. They were fighting the whole time there.
Yeah. Anyway, what do you got?
My mock draft, on the other hand, number 7. I just realized too that you have 2 Oregon guys. I have 2 Penn State guys. So
true. We went teammates.
Yeah. So I went with Tyler Warren, a tight end from Penn State. Number 42, Ariante Ursary, a tackle from Minnesota. Third round, Jalen Royals, a wide receiver from Utah State. Fourth round, Ty Robinson, a defensive tackle from Nebraska. Fifth round, there was 2 picks, Jalen Reed, a safety from Penn State, and Connor Colby, a guard from Iowa. And in the 6th round, 2 picks, Kamon Rucker, an edge from North Carolina, and Upton Stout, a cornerback from Western Kentucky.
Mm-hmm. Let us know which mock you think is better. I like both of ours. I actually do like both of ours, just because I don't love Walker as a pick. I think yours I like better.
If you took Membu at 7, whose draft would you like better? And then maybe like somebody else 42.
If I took, honestly, if I just put Royals at 42, I'd like mine more. Like Royals at 42. I think Royals can go as high as 42. I don't think he
might be a little rich for him. I don't know.
A little, but not crazy. Like,
because then I don't think he's like Trey Harris, Jaden Higgins range.
I think he might go ahead of Harris.
I don't
Higgins,
think.
I don't know. I like Higgins. To me is like I might even have Higgins as like a first round player. I'm not going to go there, but I would not be pissed if someone took him like the end of first round. I wouldn't be upset. I think that
is he like your guy this year.
Maybe he's my Lad McConkey, dude. I loved Lad last year. I loved Lad, and look how good that worked out. He's been great. He's
my
awesome.
guy this year is Darian Porter, the cornerback.
Oh, we haven't even talked about. I guess it wouldn't make sense for the Jets. So we really
but I mean, 6'4", and he's fast, and he tackles, and he picks balls off.
I think Higgins is one of my guys. I also really like Caldwell, but I guess that's kind of my guy for the Jets. Like I love him as a early day 3 pick. We've talked about him a lot. But anyway, all right, that should do it.
I realized too, in 3 of the same spots, we picked the same position too.
We really were in lockstep with a lot of that. We had tackle, D tackle, safety, like all at the exact same spots. We didn't consult about any of this. We had no idea. But anyway, that should do it on our final Jets draft preview. Mike, if you had to pick right now, I was going to say like gun to your head, but that seems so aggressive. If you had to pick right now, who do you think the Jets are drafting at 7?
Warren.
So you want and think they draft Warren at 7?
Well, because I think if Warren and Membu were there, I still think it's Membu.
Okay.
But I think that he might go to the Raiders.
The Raiders are the team.
I feel like Gene T is definitely going before the Jets.
I would be surprised if he didn't. Yeah, I agree.
So because of that, there's either one spot for Membu or Mason Graham.
Mm-hmm.
So one of them I think is going to be available for the Jets.
I think the Jets, like I said, my prediction is Jalen Walker. That is going to be my prediction unless I reserve the right to change that opinion up until 8 p.m. tomorrow, but that is my opinion right now. I think it's either going to be a
heat check for a defensive coaching staff.
It really is. It's an immediate heat check. I'm like
a heat check before they even got hot. So
it is. How good are you? Like let's see right now.
This would be like imagine a good player who's a B plus NBA player right now because we don't know how good they're
a B plus NBA player. I don't know. Mikal Bridges is kind of B+.
All right. Imagine if they brought him off the bench and his first shot is a 35-foot pull-up in transition.
Mikal Bridges would never do that.
Well, yeah,
who's got the gall to do that? Peyton Pritchard. Peyton Pritchard would totally.
Okay, yeah.
He's Peyton Pritchard.
Christopher Byer says Warren Member or somebody else trade back possibly in the first round. So
yeah, I think that's all very feasible. I'd love Membu there. Yeah, let us know. Give us really quick. Give us your predictions in chat.
What would be the rage pick? Says Sternbeck.
Shamar Stewart.
Shamar Stewart.
That would be that's the reasonable rage pick. I'd be very surprised. That's even more of a heat check than Jalen Walker.
Yeah.
That's like ultimate.
At least Jalen Walker was good.
Right. That's like what's the NBA comp for that? That's like a G League player coming off the bench and immediately.
That's like if instead of a 35-foot pull-up, they turned around and threw it over the back of their head.
That's Rudy Gobert in his first game taking a three from the logo. That's what that is.
That reminds me of. I remember when Andrew Bynum got traded away to the Cat. This was like after that whole Sixers thing.
Sure.
He got pissed off. He pissed people off in one practice where no matter where he got the ball, he would just shoot it. So if he got it like at half court and like a transition thing, he'd just pull up and shoot it.
Oh my! It makes me think that. Oh my goodness, Valentine! No, you know that.
You get it from 60 feet and just one-handed chuck it.
That is.
And then they cut him. That's what that would be.
Yeah, but yeah, I think Warren is.
To be fair though, none of us said Will McDonald was even. We weren't even thinking about Will McDonald. So
I'm trying to be as open-minded as possible about this pick because I think there's so many options that can go.
It's Travon Walker again. Nah, Travon Walker was better.
Travon Walker was better than Shamar Stewart. At least he had a few sacks in college.
And he played basically out of position.
I think there's so many different routes the Jets can go. And as a content creator, that sucks because while some of my coworkers, people that cover the Browns or the Titans or whatever, might be able to pre-write because they know what's going to happen.
Oh yeah, our guy Justin Mello over at Titan Size, he pretty much got
his whole stuff all written. He knows.
Take the night off. He's got.
Know what's going to happen. The Browns are most likely going to take Travis Hunter. The Giants are most likely to take Abdul Carter. Hell, the Patriots are probably taking Will Campbell. And after that, who knows, brother? I got no idea.
Draft starts at 5, maybe.
There could be a surprise before that, but in most people's minds, the draft starting at 5, and the Jets at 7 are probably one of the most mysterious teams. Honestly, it's really tough too because, and I know we're just going on at this point, but it's good Jets draft talk. The Jets, it's hard to get a read on the new regime. I don't know what they prioritize. I don't know what.
I don't even know who's making. Is it Glenn or Muji? I don't even know who's the alpha in this room.
You assume it's a collaborative effort. Brian says I'd say Harmon would be my reach pick. I think Derek Harmon's falling a lot. I've heard.
I think Harmon might be a better fit for this team than Shamar Stewart.
I don't have Harmon in my first round. I don't know if that's a shock.
I do, but
I think medicals. I think he's falling.
It was a late addition.
Yeah, I think he's fallen a little bit. Well, he's a very good player. I like Derek Harmon a lot. I think early round 2 is probably the sweet spot. If not, then maybe the Bills take
42 would be an awesome. That'd be an awesome.
He's there at 42, buddy. Oh man, what if you draft Jalen Walker at 7, but Derek Harmon's there at 42? Would you just say screw it and go all in?
They're going to give up 2 points every game, but
you just say, look, they're not going to be good this year anyway. Get a tackle and a receiver and a tight end next year.
They need a tackle and a pass rush. So it's not
get a tight end in round 3 and say, hey, let's get a receiver next year. At least now you.
Aaron Goodlander, what's this about Barron, a cornerback at 7? That's some of the smoke. Is Aaron Glenn supposedly loves Jahdae Barron?
There is a lot of smoke around that. Barron makes a lot of sense as a Glenn type player. You have a tough time.
We mentioned before about how Garrett, if you came up later in the show, about how he might try to make Barron what Brian Branch was for him in Detroit,
which makes a lot of sense. And they have Michael Carter in that role right now, not in that exact role, but as the nickel guy. They don't really have a nickel safety hybrid. But I don't know. I think it's possible. I think the smoke is out there for a reason, and I think they're at least considering a corner probably earlier than Jets fans would think, and earlier than I would like. But we'll see, man. There's a lot to talk about. Definitely be sure to keep tuned to stay tuned to the Jet Press. We're going to have a ton of draft content going up. I will be posting my final Jets draft mock draft either today or early tomorrow. Anyone who listens to the show and watch they already got what it's going to be, but it's going to be exactly what I talked about today. I'll maybe go in a little bit more in depth in that mock, and I'll probably try and get a 32 team mock posted to the Jet Press. Now that I said that out loud, I have to follow through on that. And that's going to be a lot, but that'll probably go up tomorrow.
People are expecting it, Justin.
That'll probably go up tomorrow morning. I'll probably have my only 32 team mock that I'm doing, and it's going to be some there are some surprising picks. As of, I did just change it, Mike. We were talking about it. I did, before we went live, I changed it, but I did have Kelvin Banks going 5 up until very recently. So there will be some surprises.
Very rich.
Another spoiler is I have Walter Nolan going ahead of Mason Graham, which again, this isn't what I think I would do. I think this is possible it can happen. Real quick, Chris said, thoughts on Genty at 7. We have some podcasts, episodes talking
entire podcast dedicated.
I won't spoil some of those episodes.
And Garrett says, what time do you go live? We're probably going to go live after the day after, like right before day 2 to discuss.
Yeah.
We're thinking probably like sometime in the afternoon, like maybe probably noonish.
It might be. I mean, maybe we even do normal time of 3 o'clock as well on Friday, because the draft is it starts 7, right, on Friday.
7, yeah. So
we'll see. We will keep tuned to the Jet Press Twitter account. I will make sure to update people there. You could also subscribe and turn on that little bell notification. You will get a notification as soon as we go live. But we will try to go live on Friday. I don't think we're going to stream tomorrow. There's just so much we're doing. Because contrary to my popular belief, this is not our job is producing content, but it's not podcasting as much as we love doing this. But yeah, man, I'm very excited. Any final thoughts, Mike?
I'm ready to get hurt again.
No, you forget. We're all excited about the draft every time. Dude, even if the Jets draft Jalen Walker, the immediate reaction is going to be shock and people are going to be pissed. And then by, 20 minutes will go by and all the normal accounts will be posting all these, they'll be looking up Jalen Walker on Twitter and going to all these highlights. And it's like, he actually can be Micah Parsons and everything. And it's what happens.
He's totally going to be Micah Parsons, guys.
We talk ourselves into things. Brian said, let's try not to throw things at our screens Thursday night. Yeah, I agree. We'll do our best. Weirdly, I don't even think, do you even watch the draft, Mike? Like, do you watch the actual event itself?
I mean, I did in past year, but like nowadays with just work and how quickly we need to write articles, like if we get the pick in, I can just,
that's what
if I had the free time, I absolutely would. So.
Oh, I agree. When I was younger, growing up, like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, now I just need the pick because it just just to maximize productivity here.
And the sports gods are screwing me because they put the Knicks playoff game on basically the same time. So I hate the NBA schedule makers for doing that. And
I don't have cable, so I also have to figure out that. So that's usually behind anyway. So
there you go. But anyway, we will be streaming on Friday. Again, we'll keep you guys updated when that's going to be, recapping day 1 of the draft and talking about what the Jets could do on day 2 and day 3. But until then, thank you all for joining us on the show today. You can follow Mike on Twitter at @ByMikeLuciano. Follow me on Twitter at Justin T. Fried. Follow Jet Press at Jet Press. Download the Jet Press podcast right here. Podcast. Check us out on YouTube. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. You can also become a member today. It is 99 cents. You get your comments prioritized in chat, and it's a great way to help support the show. We stream live normally every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. And also, once again, I will plug the interviews that we did. There's a couple on the Jet Press YouTube channel with Andreas Keaton, safety from Temple, and Sean Dolak, linebacker, consensus All-American linebacker from Buffalo. And then if you want to head over to the Stack in the Box YouTube channel, there is a ton of draft content that myself and others have done. I had a couple go up earlier in the draft cycle with Elijah Roberts, defensive lineman from SMU, and Jalen Lane, wide receiver, Virginia Tech. Go Hokies. I saw someone mention that in chat earlier. And the big one today just went live around an hour and a half ago with Amarion Hampton, running back out of North Carolina, who very well could be a round 1 pick. So we got a lot. I said, will the Knicks Pistons series still be ongoing when we are back next week? Probably. I think that's going 6 or 7. And I still think the Knicks win. But tune in next week. We'll talk some Knicks as well. We won't probably. But anyway, thank you all for listening to Jet Press Podcast. I'm Justin Fried. That has been Mike Luciano. We will see you guys on Friday. Happy drafting.
Happy draft day to all. And to all finally hitting on a first round pick.